we can all agree that capitalism is bad.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
Capitalism is bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
What is the worst thing about capitalism?
That it relies on the marginalisation of at least some people. You know, however much
Most
it claims
people.
rising tide lifts all boats or whatever, it necessitates marginalisation.
Okay, that's an interesting theory. What I would argue is the worst thing about capitalism is that we all have to work.
I agree.
It's not just humans that have to work. It's also animals. And today, we are going to be learning all about some animals that have jobs.
Okay.
Tell me about the donkey.
This is a a dog with a construction helmet on. Therefore, the dog has a job. Do you get it? It's
Hard-working
is
dog
that a
there.
pun?
Yes.
Is that a pun?
I need another. What are some construction puns that I can dog? We'll fix your Rottweiler problem. I don't know. No, I got nothing.
No. Well, let's stop doggedly looking for puns and get onto our first animal, shall we? And the first animal is the wonderful beach donkey.
I called it.
Beach donkeys originated sometime around 1780. Really, really common seaside attraction in the United Kingdom, but also abroad as well. I would associate beach donkeys, and I think many people would associate beach donkeys with the beaches of Blackpool or Weston-super-Mare. And as you can see in these lovely photos, they have some fantastic harnesses with their names on it.
Beautiful.
Dixie and Doddy there. And Teague, Teog.
If this was CSI, we would like zoom in on the image and make it sharper.
Enhance.
And everything would be really good. Exactly.
So historically, beach donkeys not had a great time. And this is due to things like bad saddles, like really low quality saddles, causing sores and stuff. Long hours in the sun with the hot weather, with no water was really, really common. And often they'd get too much weight would be put on them. So like you'd have multiple children or adults that were a bit too big for them. This is less of a problem now because of animal welfare rules. But obviously there's still a bit of a risk there. In fact, one of the biggest charities in the country is the Donkey Sanctuary, which has lots of lovely resources about donkeys. Donkey Sanctuary is one of those charities that, like in the 80s and 90s, was like a joke charity. So you would like, I've donated some money to the Donkey Sanctuary, but it's actually incredibly it has a lot of money, the Donkey Sanctuary. And they work all around the world helping donkeys in need.
Beloved donkeys.
Which is nice. Let's move on to my favourite animal, the ferret.
Yes, baby. I love ferrets. They're so cute.
Ferrets are so cool. The reason that ferrets are my favourite animal, right, is because you can't just have one ferret. If a ferret is on its own, it dies of, like, loneliness.
Aww.
It's so sad, isn't it? And I feel like that as well. Dogtown was really difficult.
Oh, Jen. Oh.
And these are ferrets. These are cable ferrets.
We had some polecat, which I guess is a ferret, come to our garden. What is it exactly? Is it a ferret?
It was a ferret, I'm pretty sure.
It looks a lot like those ones.
Yeah,
in
I'm
that
sure it was
picture.
one of those, yeah.
Yeah.
It must have
Came
escaped
and
from
took
somewhere.
up residence in our garden for a few weeks
Oh, wow.
and then left
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Mm.
We used to have a ferret as well. Do you remember Jill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't want to mention Jill because I feel like
'Cause she
did
died.
Die of
Yeah, sad.
loneliness.
Yeah. We only had one and she did die. So
Yeah,
now
we
I'm like,
tried
maybe
to.
that's why.
We tried to,
She
get
was
her
very
some
sweet,
company. Is it loneliness specifically? I heard it was not mating. that was the problem. But I don't know if that's true. Their bones were out or something.
Maybe it may be that loneliness was a euphemism that I
Yeah.
heard, and I just didn't put two and two together that loneliness might mean
I don't know.
that they don't mate.
But I don't
That's
want.
wild,
I don't
though.
want too much childhood ferret trauma to make it into the final cut. That's okay.
Well, ferrets can be used in construction industry jobs to pull cables through tubes. They've long been used. They've been long been used by people to hunt, and it's a very similar process where they'll just go inside small areas and get things through it. Basically,
Hunting rats.
previously it
and
used to be
stuff,
rats,
yeah.
and now it's cables. What they do is they attach a cable to the ferret, and then they put it at one end of a tube, and then they put like some meat or something at the other end of the tube, and the ferret runs through the tube with the cable attached to it in the harness. And that's how the cable gets through the tube.
That's so cool.
It's so cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
They are very cute.
Yeah. And really
They're
smart.
adorable.
Look at those
I
little
love
faces.
ferrets. They're
Also,
adorable.
apparently they can be football stars and singers and models and such like. If the caption is to be believed.
Well, yeah. So, famously,
Yeah.
ferrets have been used at Diana and Charles's wedding to do all of like the TV cables at their wedding. They've been used in military bases, and they're also used in airplane construction as well.
Cool.
So if you've been on a 747, like a big plane, there's a significant chance that a ferret was involved in its construction.
If it smells of
That's so cool, isn't
honey,
it? Is that what ferrets smell like?
they have a really strong smell that to me smells like honey.
yeah, it's very like musky and
But
kind of
I was
sweet.
gonna say, I thought they
It's
just smelled
really
of piss.
sweet.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not just piss. Yeah, it's like it's a really like strong particular ferret smell. It's really interesting. It's not bad, but it might be off-putting to some people.
The next animal we're going to be talking about is the truffle pig.
Oh,
This is an interesting job. This is a job that has existed for, some say, 2,000 years. Some say the Roman times, basically, is when people think that truffle pigs existed. But the first definitive proof was in the 1400s in documentation. The farmer trains the pig to sniff out the truffles, and then will take the pig into a forest, and the pig will sniff around and find all the truffles.
so cool.
So if it's thousands of years old, then we can't entirely blame capitalism for this one. We also have other unequal regimes.
Pigs are being used less and less for truffle hunting. There's a couple of reasons for this. One is that they have a tendency to eat
I was just
too many of the
gonna
truffles.
say, I bet they eat the truffles.
Yeah. Whereas if you use dogs, they tend not to eat quite as many. They also, since 1985, it's been illegal to use pigs in Italy for truffle hunting.
Oh,
And this is because when they do eat the truffles, they damage the root of the truffle, basically.
right. So
And
they
so
don't
it
grow
takes longer
back.
for the truffles to grow back.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was because
That's really
they
interesting.
felt bad for the pigs.
No.
I see
Well,
they
the
felt
pigs
bad for their
having-
money. Understand.
Well, next slide, please. This. Well, they said the name of the YouTube channel, didn't they? This is Bodhi. Bodhi is a Shiba Inu,
And a model.
and Bodhi is a male model.
Oh my goodness.
Is Instagram famous? Whoa.
He's a male model and Instagram influencer.
I mean,
Bodhi currently has Yeah.
he's so handsome. Like, you know,
incredibly. Bodhi currently has 400,000 followers on Instagram.
Of course.
A little bit more than us. And obviously Shiba Inus are very hashtag aesthetic. And his owner would dress up Bodhi in various clothes and whatnot. And that caught the eye of various brands. And now Bodhi is literally a full-time male model.
are they? So they're literally selling their clothes by dressing up this dog. Whoa!
So
It's not
Nike,
just like taking pictures of the dog being cute. It's literally like brands are selling their
Yes.
clothing by dressing this dog in it.
yeah.
That's really
So-
funny.
Yeah, so Nike has done a brand deal with Bodhi the Shiba Inu. you can actually buy the t-shirt that he's wearing in this picture in the middle here, of him wearing a Nike t-shirt.
Incredible.
If you want to. Yeah. He's also had brand deals with Major Lazer and also Casper mattresses. And Casper mattresses, if you would like to sponsor a little YouTube channel.
Our new next slide please goal is to beat Bodhi.
in Instagram followers.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Shiba Inus are very, very aesthetic. They're very expensive dogs.
Very cute.
And obviously they're very, very, very cute.
Handsome.
Quite famous in Japan, basically, is kind of where they originated. Obviously the name Shiba Inu. Inu meaning dog in Japanese. Yeah. But yeah, very, very aesthetic dogs.
My friend...
And it's unsurprising that a male model could be a dog.
Yeah. My friend has had Shiba Inus, and they said they're very cat-like. Their behaviour is really like a cat.
Yeah. I'd want a Shiba Inu.
Yeah.
If I were to have a dog, it would be that one. But obviously they're very expensive. You would like thousands and thousands of pounds to get a Shiba Inu. Oof. Eesh. Let's talk about our next animal, shall we? This is a cormorant, which is a very big bird with a very big beak. Cormorants have been used by fishermen for over 1,000 years to aid them in fishing.
That's really cool.
First referenced in the Book of Sui, which is a Chinese book. An emperor called Sui had a book called the Book of Sui. And this references Japanese fishermen using cormorants to fish. And this was 636. The year 636 was when this was first written, this book. So it's like 1,500 years old, at least that long, since that fishermen have been using cormorants as a fishing thing. Primarily, it's been known as a thing that happens in Japan, but obviously it's used in China, and variations of cormorant fishing have existed all around the world, including Peru and Greece, and even in the UK in the 16th century.
That is so cool. How do they do it? How do they help?
Yeah.
So, it's a little bit cruel.
Oh.
Obviously. So they cormorants, they want to catch fish. That's how they hunt, that's how they eat. So they basically, fishermen use the cormorant's natural instincts to help them fish. But in order to stop them from eating the fish that they catch, they tie a rope around the neck of the cormorant, and that rope is tight enough that the fish can't go down the gullet of the cormorant. And so the cormorant will catch the fish, and then they'll pull the cormorant back, take the fish out of its neck, and then the cormorant will go out and go fish some more.
Wow. That must be quite distressing for the cormorant.
That's the opposite
but they're
of
literally so
foie gras.
But
yeah, it's the opposite of foie gras.
so it's actually the cormorant that's doing the fishing, and they're just yoinking the fish off the cormorant. Wow.
Yeah. Yes. It's not as common anymore for actual fishing purposes. It's mostly used as a bit of a tourist attraction.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine it's too slow for any kind of large scale like fishing purposes, right? Like maybe for personal use that makes sense, but or for family or community or something. But
I've got a laser pointer toy for the cat, and then after about 5 minutes of using it, realised that it's not a good idea, because she goes, like, she's jumping on it, but she can't catch it, and she's obsessed then. Like, there's no satisfaction, it's just it's not nice, so I put it away and then put it out again.
Yeah, so that's something that you do have to do with cats if you're sort of play hunting with them. You need to let them win.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't remember the exact amount of times, but it's like 1 in 5 times they need to win.
Oh, that's so interesting. That makes perfect sense though, because otherwise it's just going to be this like really deep frustration.
Yeah.
War, huh? What is it good for?
Nothing.
I would argue absolutely nothing. However, one good thing about war is that it provides gainful employment to rats.
Yeah.
You know when I said capitalism has to marginalize somebody. Like, that includes rats.
Rats.
And other forms of nature. Shout out Jason Moore. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, rats are used throughout the world in areas with landmines to detect and remove landmines safely. They're so light that they don't set off the landmines, so they can go through a landmine field, or a field with landmines in it, and they're trained to sniff out the landmines, and so they'll scurry across the field, they'll stop when they find a landmine, and then that can be safely removed with like demolition stuff, or like a digger or something that is specifically designed to get rid of the landmines. This is really, really important because there are millions of mines around the world and nobody knows where they are, and it's something like 50% of all landmine injuries are children.
Yeah.
This work is done by a non-profit called Apopo, which is a Dutch organisation, and so the Apopo stands for some Dutch stuff. It's like anti-personnel mine something or other in Dutch or whatever. They're based in Tanzania, but they also work in Angola, Cambodia, Mozambique, Ethiopia, and many more countries that have been stricken by war and landmines. And I think this is a really cool way of trying to reduce deaths.
Yeah,
I think
thanks,
it's a
rat
pretty
buddies.
badass looking rat.
I know, this is like the biggest... This is the biggest, toughest looking rat I have ever seen in my life.
So, look at the next slide, and what I want you to do is tell me what the hell you think is going on.
Okay.
Is this a like Infinite Monkeys situation? Are they writing a masterpiece?
B typewriters. Is this B tank warfare?
Well,
They got
you'll be
really
pleased to know that
smart.
these bees are all cops.
Oh.
Because these are sniffer bees.
Oh, good.
It's horrific, isn't it? It looks like a freaky nightmare. This is the most horrific thing I've ever seen.
It reminds me of the film The Apartment. Have you seen the old Jack Lemmon film The Apartment? It just, like, the desks in his office are just insurance salespeople. Just like...
I mean, it's horrific. It is a horrific image.
They're all sat at the little...
Sniffer bees are considered a viable alternative to sniffer dogs in airports or other places where they use sniffer dogs. Because dogs can detect smells at 200 parts per trillion, but bees can detect at 78 parts per trillion, which is better. The smaller number is better, basically.
Wow.
I got really confused by that.
So
So it's basically twice as good.
they're actually sniffer bees.
Yes, they can be trained in 5 minutes using this
What?
process. I know, it's incredible. Obviously, they don't last as long. They get put into these weird contraptions, and then they get put into what essentially looks like a portable Hoover, like the sort of handheld Hoovers that you get. And
Just
they
like
introduce a smell.
bee cartridges.
Basically, yeah. They get introduced to a smell, and at the same time of getting introduced to the smell, they also get some sugar water.
Right.
And that trains them in like 1 or 2 attempts. It trains them to stick out their proboscis
Right.
whenever they are introduced to that smell again. And then they just wave the device in front of people's suitcases and whatnot. And if that smell is there, then they can smell it and they'll stick their proboscis out. And because of the way that the contraption is done, it can sense the proboscis has come out, and it sort of does that as a positive.
Holy shit.
It's so weird
Yeah.
because it's like a dog. It's a dog, you know, like it's doing a job, but you still see it as like an individual. This then being so incorporated into the machine,
Right. It's part of
that
Yeah,
it's like, you know, this is the way
it's an
CEOs
organic
see you.
machinery.
Yeah. It's a little bit horrific. And
Little worker bees.
Yeah. And you can do this with basically any smell. And the advantage over a sniffer dog is a sniffer dog, you can only train a sniffer dog on a few smells, and it takes 6 months to train them. They're also limited by how long they can stay out for. There's lots of animal welfare stuff around dogs. And with bees, you can just replace them because it only takes 5 minutes to train them. So you just have like 1,000 bees in the back room. And you just replace them every so often, and it doesn't matter. So you can just have this 24/7. Whereas with sniffer dogs, you only have them at certain points.
I've
Jen,
discovered where all the bees
blown my
are going.
mind. Oh, this is where the
isn't
bees
it?
are going.
The company that sells this claims that this can all be done automatically as well. So you just put them into the thing.
But you have to
introduce the smell and
putting
just-
them into the thing doesn't seem that automatic.
Yeah.
You've got to
Yeah.
go- How much bee wrangling is required? Can you just
I would have thought that as
suction
well.
them up?
I guess so. I guess you just sort of blop them into a Hoover or whatever. Yeah, but yeah, apparently they can just all be done automatically. And obviously there was a bit of like startup CEO spiel from the guy that was trying to sell it. But it still seemed like quite an interesting system in terms of like a replacement for dogs.
Yeah.
I don't know whether this is getting used like widespread. I do know it's getting used in some places.
Really?
So if you see a airport security person sort of use some sort of black box in front of you, that means there's some bees inside there.
That's going to be such a wild like people are going to be going through airport security and someone's going to say, hey, you know that little like sensor thing that they're waving over you, that's got bees in it. And they're going to go, no, it hasn't, don't be stupid. And they go, no, for real, I heard it's got bees in it. And they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And then they'll go, oh no, I watched it on this YouTube channel. Let me open my phone up and I'll show you it. Oh, and whilst you're there, do you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel? Yeah? Subscribe to the next slide, please.
They'll just be
Sponsored by
like,
Casper, maybe?
they'll just be like, you're just messing me around. Why are you saying this? No, I swear it's got bees in it.
I did see there was something going along recently of someone had trained their crow to steal money.
Oh my god, so smart.
And so there's this video of this crow flying in a window with like a note in its beak, and it flies into this apartment. Yeah, like a note. And it flies into this apartment, and there's this open like chest of drawers with just hundreds of notes.
Oh my god.